Kat sat alone on her couch, shoveling popcorn into her mouth. She stared at her TV, tied to the suspense of the movie. The sky darkened as the sun approached the horizon, hidden behind the ocean of trees her house lay among. One lone tree stood in the center of her yard. Visible through the living room window, a menacing presence filled the area, yet to make itself. Kat was glued to her movie, but still able to catch a glimpse of the black object aimed at her door. Thud. Kat jumped, startled by the unexpected disturbance, spilling the popcorn. "What the hell?" she whimpered, approaching the door. The doorknob was cold in her hand. Her heart pounded in her chest. The hinges squeaked as the door creaked open. A rush of cold air washed Kat's face as her eyes scanned the dim yard. Nothing could be seen. Nothing made a sound. She slowly shut the door, then cleaned up the popcorn. She had just sat down when another black object hit the door with a louder thud than before. She looked at the tree in the yard, almost certain she saw what threw it. Kat sat there watching the tree, waiting for something to happen. It's just some kids, she thought. Nothing to worry about. She quickly made herself comfortable and began to turn on another movie. Minutes passed and another thud shattered the silence, shaking the door. Kat raced for the lock and quickly shut the blinds. "They'll go away," she said, but grabbed a knife to calm her nerves and give her a sense of security. Tap, tap, tap. She heard light pecking on the living room window. The pecking grew louder, faster. She froze there in place, staring at the window as the tapping became more profound. She was afraid to investigate, but brave enough to stand her ground. Her home was very small, and every hiding place would be too predictable. Besides, she didn't want to hide. She wanted to see it coming instead of cowering in fear. The tapping suddenly stopped. Kat slowly made her way to the door and put her back to it. A shadow eclipsed the light from the window atop the door. She stood just out of sight, holding her breath. With her back pressed against the wood, she could feel it knocking 3 times softly. Kat could hear the galloping beat of her heart in her head. Her anxiety raised to the peak. 3 more knocks hit the door, harder this time. "Let me in," a hoarse whisper slipped through the door, and into Kat's ears. She bit her lip, tears filling her eyes. Another 3 knocks erupted, furious now. "Let me in," a now angry voice ordered. The knocking didn't cease. It grew harder as the voice grew louder. "Let me in! Let me in! Let me in!" The knocking grew so fierce it could have shattered the door. Tears leaked from her eyes. "What do I do?" she thought. "Should I open the door?" The knocking grew more than she could bear. "I know you're in there, Kat," it said. Her stomach twisted, her breathing caught in her throat. The tears now streamed down her face. "Go away!" she finally shouted. "Let me in!" it screamed in response. "Leave me alone!" she cried. The voice and the knocking echoed in her head, making her more nauseous than before. Reaching for the lock hesitantly, she sucked up her tears and held her breath, unlocking the door and throwing it open. Nothing was there. The tree stood in the yard, unmoving. No wind. Nothing. She shut the door, shaking in fear. With the click of the lock, the room grew cold. Goosebumps covered her skin. "Thank you for letting me in," a voice whispered